It's Ash from Super Videos back for another live Q&A video. This is Q&A number 189. So since we're in the off season, we're going to be talking about just in general Walking Dead stuff or other Walking Dead stuff, but we don't have any kind of concentrated discussion like we do during the on season, but we can pretty much get started. There's 2 people online right now. I do have an announcement about the schedule, which I talked about in my 2 videos that I posted today, but I want to talk about it in today's stream as well, but I'll talk about that later on during the stream while more people show up. So Animated Alex, sup Ash, how are you? Glad you could join Animated Alex. Animated Alex, how do you think Alpha will die? As far as Alpha goes, I think they're pretty much following Alpha's comic story arc. They're gonna probably, and I'm saying probably at this point, but they're probably gonna have her die the same way she died in the comics. So there's 2 big things with Alpha's death. There's the circumstance in which she dies, and there's, how she dies in terms of how she actually dies and who kills her. So there's actually 3 things. So as far as Alpha in the TV show, I think with the Who, they're going with the same. They might remix it a little bit and have maybe Carol have something to do with it as well. But for the majority of, or for the most part, I think they'll stick with who killed her in the comics. It'll be the same person. The circumstance in terms of how will it go about or what will lead up to it, I think it'll be the same thing as it was in the comics. They're probably going to remix that part a lot more. In terms of how she dies, it'll be exactly the same, I think, as the comic book. And I don't want to give it away just in case there are non-comic readers here. Pamela Morris, I'm King Ken 214. Oh, okay. I'm on my mom's phone. How are you? Glad you could join, King Ken. I will be on my King Ken account next stream. No worries, I'll refer to as King Ken here then. And with Alex, how Rick react to Siddiq's death? How would Rick react to Rick's death? Or Rick react to Siddiq's death, sorry. That's a good question. I think, well, the main thing is that when Rick was still around, him and Siddiq didn't really click. You know what I mean? Like, because of the history that Siddiq had with Carl and all of that, Rick never really got over that. So Rick and Siddiq never clicked. But I do think if Siddiq died and Carl and Rick was there, he would have felt a little bad, but at the same time, it would have not necessarily made him think of Siddiq himself, but it would remind him of Carl. And because of that, it would hit him harder. So Siddiq's death alone wouldn't really hit him hard if it didn't have that, he didn't have that connection to Carl. Pamela Morris, King Ken, did you know there's a scene in the Comic-Con trailer of Michonne holding Negan's bat? We never saw it. Yeah, I did. There were a lot of people talking about that. They were angry that we didn't see it. I was slightly disappointed as well that we didn't see it, but at the end of the day, we don't even know if that scene is real. It could be a hallucination, which means that even when it happens, it'll be like, what was the point? You know what I mean? Because I get that there's probably a point to it in the story, but it's just a cool visual look. It doesn't mean that Negan or that Michonne has turned into Negan. It doesn't mean Michonne kept Lucille and is using it. It doesn't mean any of those. So I think any way we look at it, we'll be disappointed. But yeah, I was disappointed that we didn't see it in the first half. Project Zorgo 1000, how do you think the Macon story is going to go? Mashtown or Michonne. How do you think the Michonne story is going to go? Okay. The Michonne story. So there's 2 ways. She could also either die or she could just leave the story. Now, I strongly think she's just going to leave the story. I don't think she's going to be dying. I don't think they're going to kill her off. And I think that they're going to have her exit be closely linked to her finding out that Rick is alive and going after Rick. It could definitely also connect to Virgil. We did see Virgil in the mid-season finale. He wanted to take Michonne somewhere, and there's a lot of speculation that or he either knows Rick or knows the place Rick was taken to, or something along those lines. And I think that's definitely a possibility. At this point, we don't have any solid proof for that, but it's a possibility. But going back to Michonne, I think the only reasonable and justifiable story for Michonne's exit is to have her leave because she finds out that Rick is alive. Now, why doesn't she come back after? How are they going to explain how she's going to be gone for a little bit? I don't know. But the main trigger for what takes her out of the story, I think it's finding out that Rick is alive and wanting to go after him. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A. Hey Ash, how do you see Princess being in the show? Princess was one of those characters that didn't really feel like a TV show type of characters. She felt like a comic book-y character. So I never really saw her fitting into the world of the TV show version. So because of that, I was not surprised because I knew that they would probably bring her in, but I was kind of intrigued how they're gonna make it work with her in the story. I'm not going to say it's not going to work at this point because I don't know too much. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to, wait and see what happens. But if they stick with her comic story or what she was, her comic characteristics to the T, it's not going to work in the TV show. I can tell you that much. Comic readers may enjoy the TV show version. They might not care. Non-comic readers are going to have a lot to say about that. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A. Hey Ash, how long do you see Virgil lasting in the show? The main question is, what is his purpose? If his purpose is linked to Rick, like we've been speculating, or it's been speculated, then I would say longer term. But if not, then I would say just a background character, not even a background character, but a new original character that they're going to bring in. They might keep her, they might not, just like Tara. HFG, do you think Rick woke up with the amnesia, or is being held against his will? It'll be very underwhelming and disappointing to have the amnesia story, because that's not only the most predictable, but it's the most lazy way of doing it. I hope that it's something completely different, something that makes sense, it's logical, fits the story, makes sense, why he's gone, and it answers all of our questions. The amnesia, if it happens in the movie, if it is in fact what they do, then I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm not gonna see the movie in a good light after that. Like, that's gonna stain how I see the movie or the story in the movie. So if Rick wakes up from the coma in the movie, then I'm not gonna have nice things to say about the movie, even if I enjoy parts of the movie. I hope they don't go that route. Project Zorgo 1000, do you think Virgil will betray Michonne? Again, depends what they're doing with him. If the speculation is true that he's connected to Rick, I think it'll be extremely difficult to pull it off if they want to make Virgil betray Michonne, but at the same time have the Rick story work out, if that's in fact where they're going with it. But if not, then yes, they could do that. But then again, what's the point in the story, or what does it add to the story? I feel like that doesn't add too much to the story if they do that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A. Hey Ash, Do you think Michonne will eventually come back to the show in the future? I think it's a possibility, especially if they have her exit in an open-ended way. Then there's definitely a chance that she'll come back. They won't do that unless they know for a fact that, they can work with her later on to bring her back. Maybe limited, but bring her back later in the future. So if she leaves in a open-ended way, then I'm willing to bet that she's going to come back sometime in the future. Not saying she'll permanently come back, but she'll come back to some capacity. Animated Alex, do you think we could get another rematch with Daryl and Beta with no Negan, or with Negan interfering with the fight? I hope so. I mean, that story to me, it's like, it's right there in your face. Why aren't they doing that? So I think that's, or I hope that's where they're going with it. And I hope that whatever that story is, it leads to Beta's death. I hope it's not like they just have another second fight and then that's it. Because it's like, we get it already. I just hope that it's more realistic in a way so that the second time around, it'll actually take care of Beta and it'll actually kill Beta. I'm not saying I want Daryl and Negan to necessarily kill Beta, but I want that story to lead into Beta's death. So I don't want that fight to end, and then at the end of not only the fight but the entire arc, for Beta to come out unhurt or alive or anything like that. I hope you understand what I mean by that. HFG, who was Lydia living with before she moved to the jail cell and before she moved with Carol? That's a good question. I think, and I could be wrong, I think she was living with Daryl and them, but because they left, so every time they would leave, she didn't have anyone to be with, and she just felt more peaceful being in the cell. But I think when Daryl or Carol were both there at Alexandria, she stayed with them. King Ken, the scene with the baby getting kidnapped, it looks like the person had a knife and killed the baby. I talked about that in my video. I don't think that's what they're doing. AMC is not looking to be sued. That's one main reason why they're not doing that. But I think that story goes slightly differently, and I'm not going to get into it here. I talked about it in my video. Go and check it out if you're interested. But at the end of the day, I think they come to kidnap her or the baby, and Rosita notices, fights back, kills the Whisperer, saves her baby. I think that's where they're going with it. Animated Alex, Virgil isn't the best survivor. He got his leg sliced by a child. LOL. Yeah, you got a point there. And there's that one scene in the mid-season finale where he goes to grab the book and Judith kind of tilts herself or her seat, and then Virgil falls. I'm like, a little slice is not gonna make Virgil not be able to walk. So other part of it, it's slightly unrealistic, and I'm slightly disappointed with the way that scene went. But you're absolutely right about that. We have a little bit of a delay in the stream. Let me just restart the stream here real quick to see if it helps. Alright, I hope I'm back. I think I am. I restarted the stream. I hope that helped in the delay in the stream. Let me know if it didn't, or let me know if it's even a problem at this point, because I do see a little bit of delay from my end. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash, do you see Gamma surviving the rest of the season? I do not. I think that she'll be turning good. She'll help the survivors, but I think at the end of the day, she'll get herself killed doing so. Alpha's gonna be the one that's gonna kill her. And like I said in my video that I put out a couple days ago, I think it'll be Negan that rats her out, because he's looking to survive himself, looking to save himself. And I'm not necessarily saying that Negan is gonna work with the Whisperers and be with them. I think it's more complicated than that. I talked about it in depth in my video, so go check it out if you're interested. HFG, I think Virgil is meant to be a good guy, but I think his family might be zombies like Herschel and the governor were doing. It's possible, but at the end of the day, I think that's repetitive story. What's the point of getting that same exact story again? There's no real point to it. So because of that, I'm leaning more towards them not doing that because it's repetitive. Animated Alex, when Rick comes back, how will Daryl, Carol, Michonne describe them to Rick? Oh, the Whispers? That's a great question. I mean, Rick is going to think they're crazy at first, obviously. But I think at the end of the day, they have Lydia to back them up. They have the chance to take Rick out, to show him. They have a lot of different things they could do to make Rick not only trust or see what they're talking about, but see the big threat and see why it's a big problem and why it's unlike any other enemy they've seen before. Project Zorgo 1000, who do you think will get Gabriel's comic death, or they skip it? I think there's a possibility they're gonna skip it because they did a similar scene during All Out War. We saw someone, just a random survivor, dying the same way. We didn't see it on screen, but we saw the aftermath. So because of that, I don't know if they're necessarily gonna follow the comic arc or follow Gabriel's comic death and have that death. They could, but I don't think that it makes sense because they already kind of did it. If they do it, Gabriel is still very likely to get that. But if not, then they might give it to some random survivor. I don't see them giving it to any big character, that specific death. Or they could, but at this point, I'm leaning more towards they're going to give it to Gabriel if they're going to do it, or they might not even do it at all. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A, hey Ash, is that scene in the trailer where the Whisperer is about to stab Coco a hallucination? I don't think so. I think it's real. I don't think it's hallucination. I talked about it in my video that I put out. You can check it out. I think it's the last two videos. One is about that. I don't think it's a hallucination. I think they come not to kill the baby. They come to kidnap the baby. And I don't think they're successful. I think Rosita is going to kill them. HFG, Judith paralyzed him with fear. LOL. Yeah, she did. She really did. XL Asim is on the chat. Glad you could join XL Asim. Kathy11144, what is the Commonwealth arc in the comics? Great question. So I'm assuming you don't know about the comic book, so I'll try to be as high level as possible so I don't ruin anything for you and spoil anything. But the Commonwealth in the comic book are a community, a very big community, a community with more residents than the survivors have ever seen. Eugene is the one that communicates with someone from that community in the first place. We saw that in the TV show version as well. When they and there's a story where they don't trust the Commonwealth. They don't know whether they're good or bad. And there is a lot of a lot of interesting stuff coming up with the Commonwealth, because not only does it expand the world and the universe, but it opens up the possibility of a lot of bigger story arcs. And it'll basically it'll go towards a sort of story where you won't even realize you're watching an apocalyptic TV show or apocalyptic story until you go out into the other parts of the world or other parts of the universe other than the communities we've seen. In short, it just expands the world and the universe, and it's extremely interesting. They didn't do it justice in the comics. I hope they do it justice in the TV show. Animated Alex, good thing Negan left and gave a room for hostages. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Negan was still there, what were they going to do with Dante or even the Whisperer prisoner? Just throw him in with them? So yeah, I think Negan did him a bit of a favor there. They need to build prisons at Alexandria. I mean, look how many prisoners we've seen so far, not only at Alexandria. We've seen Gabriel, or not Gabriel, what was his name? That Hilltop leader before, Maggie, what was her name? Why am I forgetting his name? Gregory. Gregory was in the cell at one point. Lydia was in the cell at some point. In Hilltop, of course. Earl Sutton was in the cell. Henry was in the cell. Negan was in the cell. The Whisper prisoner was in the cell. Dante. So I think maybe it's a good investment to have a prisoner or to have a prison built at Alexandria or Hilltop with more than just one cell. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash. In the trailer, there was a scene where Alpha appears to be following Negan. Do you think he's leading her to a spot to kill her? Yes, I did notice that. I talked about it in my other video, not in my breakdown necessarily, but I talked about it in my video that I posted a couple days ago, where I talked about Gamma versus Alpha and what's Negan's plan. That scene, I think it's one of two things. One, it's exactly what you said. Negan is trying to get Alpha to a secluded location to kill her. Or, second, which I think is more likely because it's not in your face, and that's that Negan is basically having Alpha follow her so that they could go and Negan can show Alpha that Gamma is the spy, Gamma is the mole, so that that Alpha trusts Negan, doesn't blame Negan for what's going on. We've been going for 24 minutes. We'll go for another 5 minutes and then we'll end the stream. Tomorrow's stream will be a little bit longer. Today I do have to end it a little bit earlier. But I didn't want to skip it since I skipped the one from yesterday. HFG, I think that Negan will rat out Gamma too and become the replacement Gamma. Alpha will probably give him his skin suit after that. That's a very good guess. That's a very strong guess. Animated Alex, I feel like Rick might laugh at it at first, but realize they weren't kidding. Yeah, with the Whispers, I think so. Not necessarily just laugh at it, but not really understand. You know, what do you mean they're wearing skin suits? Do you mean they're covering themselves in blood and things like that? So I don't think he'll necessarily laugh, but he will question it, and he will be a skeptic at the beginning for sure. Project Zorgo 1000, who do you think will get Andrea's comic death? Or will they skip it? I don't think they're gonna skip it. That's too big of a death for them to skip. I think, here's the thing, that death only works for someone who's a couple. In the comics, it worked only because it was Rick and Andrea together. In the show, I don't know what they're going to do because Rick is not there. And of course, Andrea's gone. But if Rick was there, they could have given it to Michonne if they wanted to. I'm not saying they should have. But it only works if it's a couple. So in the TV show right now, the only couples that we see are Carol and Ezekiel, Connie and Daryl, if they go that route. And I'm not saying they have so far. So they'll first need to set that up before they do that. And this third couple is... And this one's a weak one if they do, but Jules and what's her face? Or what's his name? Luke. They're not a couple yet, but that's another one that they could set up. Again, a weaker one. A way weaker one than the others. The fourth one is Father Gabriel and Rosita. They could go with them as well. And they could really give it to any of those or any one from those couples. Gabriel, they could give it to Rosita. Or what I mean is they could give it either to Rosita or Gabriel. They could give it either to Luke or Jules. They could give it either to Ezekiel or Carol. Again, a lot of those that I mentioned are extremely underwhelming, so I don't want them to go that route, but I was just giving ideas. The one that makes the most sense is Ezekiel dies instead of Andrea, and Carol is Rick's replacement. I think that's the story that makes the most sense. Animated Alex, if the Whispers have bloodbaths, does that mean they have blood showers? LOL. I don't think they have any showers at all. They don't even have baths or bathtubs. They just go to the river or to the lakes to wash themselves. I think for Alpha, she's special in a way, in her own way, or how she sees it. So she might get some special treatment that others don't get. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash, if Morgan was still on The Walking Dead, how would he have reacted to Henry's death or head on the pike? He would have probably lost it again, just like he lost it when Henry's brother died, Benjamin. I think he would probably go cuckoo again. It would have been repetitive, but I mean, that's the only story that really makes sense for Morgan at this point, because they've been doing it over and over and they haven't really done anything different with him. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash, what episode is the second half, or what episode in the second half do you see Alpha dying? I don't see her making it season 11, but what episode is she gonna die? I think it'll be midway through, maybe episode 11 or 12, somewhere around there. I could be completely wrong about that, but that's how I feel where the story is going. There's also speculation that she might, or not speculation, but predictions. She might die in episode 15, only because 9/15 was the Pike's Massacre, so it'll be like things came full circle if she dies in 10/15. And I think that could be possible, and if they really want to do that, they might push that to 15 instead of like 11 or 12 or 13, like I said. I think it's 12, I think it's a safe bet for me. 12 is probably where I'm leaning towards right now. But she's definitely not making it to season 11. Animated Alex, since Judith gave Daryl another wing, does this mean Daryl will come back sooner than we think? Daryl will come back. What do you mean Daryl will come back? I'm not sure what you mean by that. But I think that scene, what it symbolizes, the wing thing, Judith fixing the wing, is, I think it was only when Rick left that they showed Daryl with one wing. So I think it was meant to show that, you know, he's a broken man. He lost his best friend. But now, Judith fixing it for him, I think it represents Daryl has learned to not forget Rick, but understand that he has all of these different people, Judith and the others, to help, to save, to protect. So I think that is a thing that's gonna make Daryl stronger than ever. If that's what you mean by bring him back, then yeah, I think that's probably what's gonna bring him back. Epic Zombie Killer, I missed The Walking Dead already. Absolutely. Kathy11144, February can't come sooner. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long couple months wait. But good thing is we have a segment that I brought on during the off season called Throwback Thursday, where we revisit some old seasons, but we revisit earlier episodes in the same season and talk about ranking different things, episodes, characters, villains, scenes, moments, premieres, finales, things like that. So I have one coming up this Thursday, which is going to be about the first half, ranking the episodes of the first half. So I hope that those kind of videos will help us not feel like Walking Dead is quite gone yet until it comes back. Or not feel the void of Walking Dead until it comes back. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A. Hey Ash, maybe they'll remix it and have Ezekiel take Andrea's death. Well, comic death, only difference is they'll make Ezekiel die of cancer. That's a good guess. That's a good guess. My thing is, though, with the Ezekiel cancer thing, I think that's strongly linked to the Commonwealth story. And I think that those are going to work off of one another. Which means, of course, that if they do that, Ezekiel's not going to die. But specifically talking about that, if they were going to have Ezekiel die from cancer, they wouldn't do it this way. They wouldn't. I feel like they're setting it up to be connected to the Commonwealth. That's all I'm saying. Animated Alex, Morgan better survive. I hope so too. But the thing is, with Fear, I'm over it. I'm not going to watch the next season. If I do, I'm not going to react to it. But I'm not going to cover it in general. Actually, I might watch the episodes, but not on Sunday nights. I might watch it like after a couple weeks, watch a few episodes, and then wait. Something like that. Or maybe wait till the half season and then watch the entire half season all together. Or within a couple days. And then maybe react to it that way if people are interested. It'll be like late, like when it's the half season, I'll be reacting to earlier episodes. So if people will be interested in that, I might do that, but I'm not going to cover Fear the Walking Dead at all. Because I'm not going to be following it live. That's what I mean. Kathy11144, in terms of the comics, where are we, halfway through or towards the end? Well, the comics did end around the time we are now. Not exactly now, but the next arc that's going to be coming up after the Whisperers was the final arc in the comics. And that's like a whole season, I would say, in itself, if we convert it to TV seasons. After that, though, that doesn't mean they're going to end. They might continue on. There has been rumors, though, that season 12 is the final season, and they're not going to do more after that. And if that's true, then it kind of makes sense, because then they'll do the final story as it was in the comics, and then the last season will be original stuff. They kind of did the same thing in Game of Thrones. They could do something like that, or they could just keep going. But to answer your question, there's like a good one solid season after season 10 left until we reach the end of the comic story material. Animated Alex, I meant if Rick will come back sooner than later. Oh, does it mean Rick is going to come back sooner? No, I don't think so. I don't think that the Daryl Wing situation is a telling point of when Rick is going to come back. I don't think those are really connected that much. Alright, we'll go for 5 more minutes and that'll be the end of the stream. We've been going for 35 minutes here. So 5 more minutes of rapid fire Q&A. And when we do our rapid fire Q&A, that means that it'll be quick questions. So if it's a question that requires more explanation or thoughts or things like that, I'll kind of say, we'll talk about it in the next stream or something like that. But it'll be quick, a quick rapid fire Q&A. Animated Alex, or I read that question. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A. I'm hoping The Walking Dead World Beyond will be better than Fear. Hope they'll learn from their mistakes. I hope so too. It looks promising, but so did Fear. So we have to wait and see. I don't want to judge it too quickly, but the trailers are very, very promising. The thing is with Fear, what we didn't have, which they kind of have here, is they connected it to the bigger picture right off the bat. And because of that, we have that connection to go in it. And that connection is, of course, the CRM and how it might connect to this story. And the entire universe. So because of that, I feel like we have a connection to go into it, which I think is going to be to their advantage. And I think that's one of the key reasons Fear failed, because they didn't have that, and then they realized they won it too late, and then when they brought it, it was just a mess of a show. And what I mean by brought it, I mean bringing that connection, bringing that link. In the comics, or in Fear, of course, the link was not only the helicopter stuff, but also bringing Morgan and Dwight over. Epic Zombie Killer, yeah, if Morgan dies, I'm quitting watching Fear. Yes, I will definitely stop watching after if Morgan dies, but there's a catch. Like I said, I'm going to watch the entire half season within a couple days together during the half season. So after that, if Morgan dies, but it's a dope episode or dope season, half season, and it's phenomenal, I'm not going to stop watching. I might start watching live. But if it's a shit show again, then yeah, I'm going to stop watching. And if Morgan dies, both together. It's going to depend. I'm going to have to wait and see, but I will tell you this. I will be watching the entire half season during the half season break within a couple days. And if people are interested, I might react to it. But after that, I'll make a decision whether I'm going to watch the rest of the Fear episodes or not. And I'll decide at that point if I'm going to stick with this setup, or if I'm going to watch live, or if I'm going to wait till the whole season and then watch, or something like that. So that'll come later when we get to that time. Animated Alex, Fear is just a dead cow leaking milk. Yes, it is. Kathy11144, does Negan die in the comics? I don't know if you want me to spoil it for you. He doesn't necessarily die, but he's not really in this story as much as you think. It's a mix of both. It's a mix of both. I'm not going to explain what I mean by that. You're going to have to watch. But it's a mixture of both. He both dies and doesn't die at the same time. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A hash. Do you think we'll get more spin-offs in the comic universe? I hope so. That'll be interesting. I'm down. I'm down to follow another spin-off comic story. Animated Alex, who remembers getting excited for Fear? I certainly was. I regret it now, but I certainly was when it started. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A, my opinion, they should have killed Morgan in Season 8. Then the stuff in the Fear Season 5 finale wouldn't have happened. Yeah. I agree that killing Morgan in the original show would have been better than him crossing over. King Ken Season 3 of Fear was better than The Walking Dead Season 8 and 7. I partially agree with you, not fully. Partially. Alright, so I'll end the stream here. Thanks everyone for asking questions and joining the channel, or joining the chat in the first place, asking questions. And for everyone who supports the channel, I hope you enjoyed the content. But stay tuned for... What do we have coming up? I wanted to announce the schedule. Let's do that now, and then I'll end it. So, of course, now that there's no Walking Dead, and I'm going to move this, because this is going to show you the schedule. Let me make it bigger. Okay, there we go. So, now that we're in the off-season of The Walking Dead, we'll be doing our off-season schedule, or we'll be on our off-season schedule. So, starting tomorrow, which is going to be this schedule here, this Sunday, we'll go with this schedule where every Sunday 1 p.m. Mountain Time we'll have our live Q&A. So that means tomorrow at 1 p.m. we are gonna do a live stream as well, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So make sure to join that time if you're interested to join our Q&A. And then Thursdays, we're going to have what we call our Throwback Thursday ranking videos. So as I said earlier, we're going to rank things in the universe of The Walking Dead. It doesn't have to be The Walking Dead. It could be Fear as well, or the spin-offs. The World Beyond thing, or the comics. It could be anything Walking Dead related. And rankings means ranking the episodes, the seasons, the characters, the stories, the scenes, things like that. So Thursdays, that video will be coming up. And Fridays, we will do our usual 6 p.m. Mountain Time live stream Q&As. Other than that, we don't have any scheduled videos, but I might do videos here and there. But other than that, I will be doing or continuing the live gameplay of Telltale's The Walking Dead starting Monday. And I'm going to probably aim for 2 live streams a week. And I will tell everyone about the time and which date 1 day in advance. So for example, and I'm not saying I'm doing this, for example, I might come up Monday, say Tuesday, we're doing a live at this time for gameplay. So 1 day in advance, so you have enough time to go and basically see or join us. But other than that, we don't have other videos coming up until we get back to the second half of the season, in which case we'll go to our usual schedule for The Walking Dead, which is the one on the right. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys, let me just remove this and come back, or bring my face back, and then I'll end it. There we go. So that's pretty much it. Let me just read the last few comments. Kathy11144, spoil please, so go away then. Or no, wait, what? Spoil please, so goes away then. Oh, yeah, sorta. With Negan in the comics, yeah, he sorta goes away, yeah. HFG, thanks again, Ash, no problem. Glad you could join, HFG, and hope you enjoyed the chat. The stream. Epic Zombie Killer, bye, I see you tomorrow. See you all tomorrow. Animated Alex, see you, Ash. Epic Zombie Killer, by the way, happy December, guys. It's December 1st tomorrow. Yeah, happy December, guys. I think, yeah, it's the last week and a half of December. I'm taking time off work, so I will be doing a little bit more streams at that time. So that'll be cool. So you guys can join me. And we'll have some fun at that time doing gaming, live Q&As and things like that. But that's pretty much it. Rebecca Mendez, thanks, Ash. Glad you could join, Rebecca Mendez. You didn't ask any questions, but that's fine. I'm not saying you should have asked anything. I hope you enjoyed the content. King Ken says bye. Bye, everyone. Glad you could join. And hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you all tomorrow.